Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well and welcome back. And if you're new, welcome to the channel. Now we're going to be working on our store controller. I said on the previous lesson that we're going to be able to sort out our categories, but I think it's time to go a little bit deeper. All right, so let's open our thread controller. Okay, so now in the store method, this is normally what we would have done. Right, so we will create the store method, but we already created the store request and things like that. But I want to make use of jobs. As you guys remember, that we're going to be implementing some of the things that is done on the Laravel.io forum. And in this case, what we want to do now is we want to actually create a job to handle all of this. All right, so there's a couple of things that we will do is we will create a job for the create a thread, then we will create a job to update the thread, and we create a job to delete a thread. All right, so all of that we will do in this episode, not the update and the destroy obviously, but to create a job for the store method. All right, so that's what we're going to be implementing in this lesson. And if we need to break it into two parts, if it gets too long, we will break it up in two parts. All right. So let's save some time. So let's just get started. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a job called CreateThread. All right. Just to give you an example, if we go to actions under Jetstream, you will see Jetstream kind of use the same principle. So they got a delete user, and then they got to create a new user. It's almost like a job, a function or action that is done separately by one entity or one function or one method or one class, whatever you want to call it. I sometimes move away from the convention of naming things just to kind of explain to somebody a concept that they might not understand in a language that is easily understandable to them. Right, since English might be really a foreign language to most people that's actually learning to code. All right, so enough of that. So let's create a job for this. All right, and let's get started. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is let's open up your terminal. All right, I already seeded my database, so let me just clear this. All right, so what we want to do now is we just want to create a job. So we do PHP artisan make job. All right, that's all you do. And in this case, what we want to do is a create thread job. All right, so then you press enter. As you can see, the job is successfully created. So let's go to that. I just want to show you, I don't want to go to the shortcut, so I want to show you where it actually is. Under your app folder, you go to jobs, then you will see we have a new file, a new class created, create thread that implements should queue, dispatchable, all this kind of stuff. Everything as it is, you can leave it as it is. You don't have to delete anything. You can leave it as it is. All right. But what I want to do now, everything in here, I want to delete. This store part, I just want to delete like this. Okay. So delete everything in your store method except the redirect route right there. All right. But before we actually work on this part right here, I need us to go to our ThreadStoreRequest quickly. As there's a couple of things that we need to do in here that in order for us to kind of use it in our create jobs right here. Let me just move the jobs in front. Okay. So in our store method right here, what I want to do is we need to return a couple of public functions. All right. So let's do that quick. Right, the first one that we want to do is we want to actually get the author, so public function, and this one is basically going to be the author. All right, so the author, let me just spell it right. So the author, and this is going to be of the user model instance. All right, just make sure that you import that at the top as well. Just make sure you import it there, otherwise you're going to get an error. Right, so that, and then basically what we do is we return. Let me just return this user. All right. So we call on the method. Right, so the next one that we want to do is we do a public function, and this is basically going to be the title. Okay, so the title, and this is going to be a string. Okay, so we want the title to be a string, and we can just going to return. Just remember, we're doing everything in the request, all right, in the store request. Now the request, now this is a little bit different. We're going to get basically now the title. Okay, so as you guys remember, when we did, let's go to the thread controller quickly, otherwise this will not make sense. Right, as you see the request right here, so when you remember when we did the return the request, okay, let me just do that. Let's quickly go to the browser, otherwise we're gonna lose a couple of people. All right, you remember now I got my create thread right here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So if I press the create right here, the fields that are required because of that. Okay, let me just do a title, something. Just select a couple of stuff. Nope, that won't work. Let's just choose something, and let me just type in a couple of things in here. So if I do a create, you will see that we got a title, we got a category, we got our tags, we got our body. Now the get method is basically going to get the input that we put in right here. All right, so let me go to VS Code. All right, as you can see in our store request, the get right here is basically getting that property or that we just sent through the request. This is all that returns. Okay, so when we call on this method, it's going to get that from here. All right, so it's going to get the title, or it's going to get the category, or it's going to get the tags or the body. All right, so let's go back to Visual Studio Code. I don't want to lose anybody, but unfortunately sometimes that happens. But okay, so the next one that we're going to do is we need to go and for the body. Let me just remove my caps. All right, for the body, and I want the body to be a string as well, so it needs to be a string. All right, and the next part is we're going to return, okay, this get body. All right, so we're going to get the body as well. All right, the next part that we need to do is we need to get the category, so public function. All right, so I'm just going to type all of them. So I'm just going to forward the video, so otherwise you're going to just waste a bit of time, so see me typing all of it. All right, so what I've done, I added the body, the category, and the tags. All right, just remember the tags must be an array, and then we just get the tags, and obviously just set it to an empty array. All right, let me just show you if we go back to the browser. All right, so as you can see, you will see the tags are in array format, like with index from 0 to 1, so that's all good. Right, as you can see, open and closing brackets right there, indicating an array. Okay, so then we've got our body, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 items here that we're going to get from the request, but there's another one we need the author as well. So there's 5. All right, so just remember 5. Okay, so title, category, tags, and the body. All right, so that's why we have our authors 1, title, body, category, and the tags right here. All right, obviously the slug we will handle a little bit different. That's why we actually specify the requirement for the tags is also an array. So we're going to be dealing with the slug a little bit differently. All right, because the slug is actually coming from the title itself. All right, so now we finish with the store request. Okay, so now we move on to the create the thread right here. All right, so let's create private variables. So we're going to create a private title in our create thread. Okay, the next one is we're going to create a private body, private category, and then private title, body, category, tags. Just put in the tags, and obviously private the author. Okay, so it's the 5 we need. All right, just remember 5. So private title, body, category, tags, and the author. All right, now in our construct method right here, what we need those 5 as well. So I'm just going to put the string for the title, the string for the title, and another string for the body. The body, and a string again for the category. And then for the tags, it's going to be an array. So we just put an array in there. And that is going to be for the tags. And the last one is going to be a user instance. Okay, so the user model. So just make sure you import it at the top right there. Sorry, I'm just going to keep on saying that because I forget sometimes to import the things and I get errors as well. All right. So what I want to do is we're going to say this, the title. This title is going to equal to the title. And this. Right. So let me forward ahead so that you don't have to see me type everything. Right. So what we've done, just added the title, body, category, tags, and the author right there. All right. So the next part that we're going to do is we're going to create a static function. So when we're going to do it like this, we're going to create a thread like this. And then we're just going to call on from the request like this. Okay. So this is the method that we're going to call inside our thread controller right there. So right here. So we're going to call on that method. So we're going to create this from request static method now. All right. So public function, public static function. So let's just do public static function. Let's just look at the time. So that's because we've still got a couple of minutes. All right, so we got a public static function. All right, so this is actually the one that's going to deal with the request itself. So from the request, so then we're going to just bring in that thread store request. Remember the store request that we just created, that we actually updated, we actually created in the previous lesson. All right, so from the request, and I'm just going to call in the self. All right, and now basically what we want to do is we're just going to return the static methods. All right, so just the return new static. Okay, so let me just do this. Just put a semicolon there, and this is basically going to be the request. All right, the request. Just remember the title, the one that we just created. All right, let me just show you again. This one right here. We're calling on this right here. All right, the request or title. The next one is going to be the request. Let me just type them all in. All right, just separate them with the comma. So we got our title. So we're calling on the title in the request right here. So then we get the title property or the input values. All right, so we get the title, we get the body. So all of that is done, we're getting through our static method. So when we call on this from request, it's actually going to look for these things. All right, so the next part that we're going to do is in the next part of next lesson, we're going to be dealing with the handle method, and then we're going to actually call on the static method inside our controller right here. And yes. All right, so I don't want the videos to be too long for you guys. All right, so what we have done in this lesson is just we created the job, and then we can put it in the constructor, and then in our store request, we just created a couple of methods, public function methods that we actually just call on in our create thread right here when we return the from request right here. Okay, so if you have any guys, if you have any question, please ask them in the comment section and I'll try to explain them to you. And I see there's a bit of a problem with our comments in YouTube right now. I don't know what is wrong. I get the notification, but I cannot see the comments actually in the comments under the lessons. All right, so please, if I don't respond, it's probably I cannot see your post. All right, thank you guys for watching, and if you like the video, please give it a like. If you don't, please give it a dislike, and any positive or negative feedback is appreciated. If it's negative, please put it in so that I can see it, and I'm always trying to improve myself. And if you think I'm doing something horribly wrong or I'm not doing a good job, please let me know. Otherwise, how will we all learn? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. We're going to be dealing with the handle method, and we're going to be calling it in the store right here. All right. Thank you, guys, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.